The greatest gift is a story of a man named Paul Burke and his family. His wife's name was Suzette, and she passed away in 2010 from a brain aneurysm. Paul had an interest in running, and he got in touch with me through a mutual friend. He expressed an interest in running a marathon in his wife's memory, and I helped him train for that marathon. That was the Melbourne Marathon, where about a year earlier he'd made a promise to her that he would return the year that he did, having just run a half marathon at the time with her there watching. He joked with me after the marathon, after he successfully completed the marathon, that he'd thought about the idea of running from Melbourne to Sydney, and I thought that was mad. But in replying to his text message, I said that I'm not too sure what's involved in running from Melbourne to Sydney, but I'll help you do it. So some 2 years or so onwards from having met Paul the first time, or having had contact with Paul from the first time, I find myself driving south on the Hume Highway to Melbourne with a fairly massive task ahead of us. Still got 700 kilometres of southbound driving to do, followed by about 1,000 kilometres of northbound running. The team will be meeting us in Melbourne tomorrow to prepare 3 vehicles, which will be our home for the next 4 days. Those vehicles will leave Federation Square in Melbourne at 9:30 from memory on Monday the 27th of August and travel north to Sydney, finishing in Paul's Children's School at Chipping Norton at 11 a.m. We've been promised a guard of honour and a near Olympic style reception as we return home. We've done a fair bit of planning and meeting and training and organising in having this all come together, all on a volunteer basis, and all through the goodness of our own hearts and our courage and our spirit, I suppose, to take on something as unknown as this. It's been done before, but not by us, and we're doing it in a fairly unique fashion where each runner will engage in a 90-minute running shift. For most of us, generally speaking, that will be about 15 kilometres. We'll start that 90-minute running shift every 10 and a half hours, and we'll continue to do so for the full 97 hours approximately of the duration, meaning that each runner should attempt about 9 shifts, individually covering somewhere in the vicinity of 135 kilometres each over the 4 days. We've got a very supportive and very wonderful and talented crew along with us. 2 of us are lucky enough to have our fathers accompany us along here, which is good. We've got some wise, I won't say old heads, but some generous support and some people that are going to have many miles of very slow driving. I would imagine the challenge of driving at 10 kilometres an hour, hour after hour after hour, might come a second, but probably a fairly close second to having to run all that distance as well. We've been lucky enough to have some media interest along the way. We found ourselves in a couple of Sydney's major papers, some local press, a bit of time on the primetime news channels in Sydney. Lucky enough to be having Darren Hinch MC our function in Federation Square as we leave Melbourne on Monday morning, as well as the support of a gentleman named Chris and all those at Transplant Australia that have been behind us. There's an army of volunteers coming to collect money from passers-by in Melbourne on Monday morning. And Sam, my trusty cameraman and all-round good guy, sits beside me right now on our southbound journey and attempting to do the same. We're looking to plant some seeds of interest and possibly fundraising for our return leg. So far we've only stopped at a few places, but already the reception's been warm. People have been forthcoming with their attitude towards being interviewed by complete strangers on, let's face it, and what at times can be a prickly issue. Already it's bore fruit where we've interviewed people who have ticked yes on their licence to be an organ donor, and in their mind they're clear and sure that that's all that's required. But naturally we all know now that ticking yes on your licence means very little towards any kind of final decision that, in the unfortunate time of your passing, your family may still be ultimately left with a decision on what to do regarding organ donation. A question that I've asked, and its reaction has been interesting as well, is that if you were a person who said no to being an organ donor and you were then in a position where you required organ donation, should you be eligible? And the reaction's been consistent, and that's been one of confusion, bewilderment, and general uncertainty as to whether somebody in that position is actually deserving or not. And it raises an interesting point that should you be eligible to receive organs if you yourself are unwilling to actually donate them yourself? Sam and I are going to travel for several hundred kilometres today before we find somewhere to stay for the night. We're not sure if that might be Melbourne yet. We're feeling good at the moment. Long way to go. The compass says south, but everything about our adventure points north, so this is the greatest gift.
Organ donation, as far as I'm aware, is if somebody's sick, I think heart transplants, people need organs, and I guess there's always a waiting list. Everybody needs organs, and organ donation is a good thing if it can happen.
Well, I'm not personally an organ donator that I know of, but look, I'm all for it, so I have nothing against it.
I think organ donation is a fabulous thing because it will save so many lives. Yes, a sad thing has happened for the organs to become available, but I think it's a brilliant thing and I wish more people would do it.
It is an important thing. My pop's had quadruple bypass and I've got hemochromatosis, so there's a few things in the family that one day maybe some of us are going to need someone to help us out, so it's a big thing. I'm up at the blood bank every 3 months donating my blood, so I'm a good girl, very good girl.
If you knew there was a register where you could say yes or no to being a donor, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, I'd say yes, definitely. There's no reason, I'm not going to need them, so yeah, I'm for that.
Then are you a registered organ donor?
I am, and so is my husband.
How do you know that? What have you done to make
It's
that
on
happen?
my licence. I've ticked a box on my licence that says yes.
Okay. If someone was to tell you that that actually wasn't enough, would that surprise you?
No, because I think I've read that myself that it wasn't enough, so I actually have it in my doctors that I'm okay with organ donation.
Okay, so you're aware of the Australian...
And my husband's aware of it too, and we both have several discussions with each other. If anything were to happen to us, are we happy for our organs to go? And we are.
What do you think the idea of somebody saying no to being an organ donor, but then potentially needing to receive organ donation in the future?
I reckon each to their own. Everyone's got their own personal opinion on what they want to do with their body. Maybe one day they're going to need help. Maybe after that they might realise that being an organ donor is something that they should do as well to contribute back to what they've got.
Anyone should be allowed to receive an organ, regardless. You know, you want to save a life, that's the key. We want everyone to stay around for as long as possible, so everyone should be entitled to an organ.
I think it's a little selfish because I had a bad accident a couple of years ago where I needed a lot of blood transfusions, and I'm a frequent blood donor at the moment, so I think swings and roundabouts, I guess.
Look, it's to save someone's life, I can't see why not.
It's the greatest gift.
Idea. Nathan Schumark, what was the plan with this bottle boxes?
I was just
Do you want to put them in the fridge?
Yeah, it's just so
What is currently in the fridge? All the goo is in the fridge, right? That's something else that needs
We'll
a
get
home.
rid of that pillow first.
No, this is my pillow.
Well,
I'm
go
not
and do
getting rid of
something with it.
No, I like it.
We don't have room for fuckwits. Didn't you know?
Hello. This is very real. Would you? That's awesome, isn't it?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we've got caution runners ahead, which is this thing's going to have the vehicles, the bus, the runners in
Yep.
front of it.
Yep. I
Sorry.
can get those if you want.
Now obviously we've got the same for both sides. Now however we want to stick that there, we can cut it, we can move it.
Slice
However
it
you
and
wanna
dice
do
it
it.
handy. Centre it, chop it in half, whatever you like.
I think it about as he was to slice it and have it over
Hey?
2 doors. 2 separate words there. Right? Open up the tops.
Now we can cut that however we want to do it. What we have to do is we've got to clear sticky tape the front and the back edges on. Two reasons. One for the wind, and the other one for somebody going and walking away with it, because we do that a lot. Leader,
In the back of the Winnebago
Yeah.
storage area.
Yep.
we can create stuff like this. Now we can cut that up, and make something like that,
Because that's magnetic as well. Then you're not sticking
Yeah,
it
right?
on the
Or that way.
Yep.
This is for the Winnebago, because obviously it's all stick-on stuff.
Yep.
But because this is magnetic, we can cut that. Well, if you want to keep that, we can cut it off there and do that.
I personally
So we'll
have no
have.
problem with anything I'm seeing right now. Like, you could leave it.
Well, just that means we'd have something extra back here.
Stick all those red ones on the back and then we shine out like dogs' testes when it's...
Yeah, but the red ones are for the Winnebago. We haven't got them. I haven't made them yet for the magnet. I was going to cut these thing up.
So
Whatever you reckon, I'm...
Well,
Whatever
to me,
makes
the
these
more
things
stuff
safer
we've got
and
on the
brighter.
back.
Why have you got to cut that up? I'll come in at the end, sorry.
Well, this is for the Winnebago.
Yeah.
It's sticky,
Yeah.
where this is magnetic.
yeah.
we'll stick
So
the
we want to
sticky
stick
on the
something else
magnetic.
on here,
Yeah.
unless we particularly want these, then we can stick these on, but we're going to have to peel them
I
off.
don't think they needed to be a. That,
Well, we've got flashing lights on there, so why don't you just get rid of the Winnebago stuff, do the Winnebago stuff, get the Winnebago stuff out
Well,
of the
the
way.
Winnebago's
This is
independent of
safety.
all this, Karen.
this is the safety.
What we've got here was designed for the two buses.
Look, you know what? Why don't you just do what you think? That's what I
Yeah,
think.
I actually just do
just
it that
do what you
like...
think. You know what you're doing.
Whatever you reckon.
You know
I'll
what you're
give you
doing.
some of this stuff.
The more you
Right,
ask,
all
the
you
more
gotta
we.
do,
I know it doesn't
it's
matter.
permanent,
Just do it.
right?
Yeah,
So
this
you only
one
get
will
one
stick
shot
on.
at it.
No
No
pressure.
pressure.
No
No
pressure.
pressure.
These are your blankets. Where do you
Oh, there's heaps of shirts. I think these are all mine. I feel like that's way too much, but if I'm doing 9 runs, then this is actually enough shirts. There we go, let's have a look. The greatest gift. Can you see that? Want me to spread it out more?
No, that's fine.
So they're shirts, and we also have singlets, which it's the same, but it's a singlet. It's missing some sleeves and a collar. So that should look alright. A little bit organised actually. All our sizes.
So there's 9 for each runner.
Yeah, I like in singlets. So I think there's actually more than what we need, but it's good.
Thanks for what you've done all right in this project. It's quite- Lee, how much storage?
And theoretically, you can't bubble them because it's a special material I got them to use.
We managed.
Oh, you managed. Look
Hey, you're
at that.
doing good.
There's our other. We didn't have any bubbles, Hans. What have you done?
Well, you got 1, 2,
We didn't have any till you came
3,
along.
4.
We didn't have any. Go away.
That's the edge to use because it won't scratch it.
We didn't have any. You did that.
Let me assure you, after having ruined many a sign on a cab with a bloody driver standing there saying, "Oh, no," you go, "Can you go away?" Yeah, just what you want to do is peel the back of it off and just tack the top edge,
That's exactly what we did.
right? And then hold it out.
Yep.
and peel it off and keep squeeging.
Beautiful. You got the keys to
And then it'll hold.
Let me get the avocado out of the way. And the bananas. Okay, what you have is a jacket. Can I get it out of the bag for you?
Yep.
So you will be seen. I hope orange is your colour. An orange jacket.
It's gonna have to be.
And what you need to do is take this off.
Paul has one, I have one, and Sam has one.
Like
So if we just leave one in
that.
the vehicle, maybe just for now on the driver's seat or something.
Stick it in your
you
USB
can eventually get to
and charge your light.
whatever changes need to be made, mate, and
And then you can be seen when you get in and out when it's dark.
they can find a home.
Okay.
to go.
Very important. You might want to cut the tags off too. Oh, hang on. So there's your jacket. Your dad's got one as well. Didn't take up running after this, Joel. You now have all the gear.
What you can do,
Comes in handy.
Orange shirt. And hat. Thank you, Saucony. Also, jelly beans, sunblock, lip balm, earplugs so we're not too noisy. What else you got in here? Some electrolyte drink tablet if you get dehydrated. There you go, a little show bag for you.
Awesome.
Welcome to the team.
how's it look? Bloody beautiful.
Basically, as people get in and out of this, or more into it, they'll be sweaty, and we're just trying to protect the seats and look after the comfort of the next person getting in. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, we're here at Point Cook. It's a suburb of Melbourne where Shuey has a friend. We've been lucky enough to have them host us in their beautiful new home. It's provided us with a staging ground to set the vehicles up. Everyone's met today. Some have flown down last night. Sam and I drove down today. We left yesterday and today, over a 24-hour period. We've all arrived safe and sound and excited and ready to go. So come on, we'll show you our vehicles. This is the Kia, otherwise known as the Shadow vehicle. It'll be behind the runner at all times, travelling at the royal old speed of about 10 kilometres an hour for 97 hours. It'll basically house a driver, a navigator and a runner in waiting, as well as having the runner out the front. It's very well sign written and sporting all our fancy logos and bits and pieces. We've got a nice stretching area in the back here, so as each person finishes their running shift, they can hop in and have a stretch. Drinks are at the ready in a fridge which is on, and we've also got some blankets for warmth once people have finished running. We're very safety conscious about everything we do. It's our number one priority at all times. So there are safety vests which one of the guys has managed to grab hold of and keep everything safe, as modelled by our lovely Adam there. High visibility signage at all turns, most of it reflective, and hopefully this runner will be nice and safe in front of this vehicle as the people in it as well. It'll have flashing lights on the roof 24/7 as well, so we'll put those on soon. The Getabout, or affectionately known as the Bug Bus, it's got a few mixed messages in the sign writing there, but it's going to have a few mixed jobs to do as well. It's going to be going around getting supplies, things that we run out of, going ahead and scouting for routes or turns that we may have missed, or meeting up with the vehicles. So basically it's the shuttle vehicle that will ferry runners between the Shadow vehicle, being the Kia, which I've just shown, and the mothership, which we'll get to in a minute. So it's going to be versatile, it's going to be really important. Just inside here you'll see we've set the seats up so that when runners hop in, they'll be able to, if they're all hot and sweaty, we'll just be able to sit straight on the seat. It's probably going to do the most miles out of any vehicle on the trip. In fact, it's already done about 1,000 just getting here, so that's okay. We'll use the back of the Bug Bus for storage. This is pretty much effectively our wardrobe. It's quite empty at the moment, but it'll be full of our clothes bags and everything that we want to get to during the run. So it's a bit like our big mobile wardrobe. Sign written as well, and it will occasionally take the job of the Kia or the Shadow vehicle when the Shadow vehicle needs petrol. Other than that, it'll just be the runabout. And of course, our crowning glory, we've been calling it the Winnebago for quite a while now. That's actually technically incorrect. It's a Mercedes motorhome provided to us by our good friends at Apollo. It's a beast. It's got so much room and storage and spaciousness inside. It's really well appointed. It's got a toilet and a shower, which we probably won't use. There's heaps of space for bedding, and yeah, it's being sign written really well by an expert crew of sign writers. So come inside, we'll show you around.
You'd like to show up or
Lots of room in the front. My personal favourite feature of the we've called it the Winnebago or the Winnie, is this crazy handle with bubbles in it. I don't get out very much, so I find that really exciting. Come on in. As you can see, it's really big. From the front, going backwards, there's a really spacious driving compartment. That'll be really comfortable for anybody who's in there. There's a really nice walk-through area to get backwards and forwards. I'm assuming that might be a GPS, I'm not too sure. That looks pretty flash. Everyone's storage up to the top up here. Everybody's sleeping gear is pretty much just thrown in there at the moment, but I would imagine that that will be quite a busy little area when it comes time for people to have their rest. This looks to be like some sort of safety catch net, so you can't fall out once the vehicle's in motion, which won't be too often. The Winnebago will go ahead of the runner or be behind the runner by quite a few running hours. In terms of driving time, it may only be 100 kilometres or 80 kilometres up the road. So the Winnebago will be stationary, the runner will go ahead. There'll be an exchange, the Winnebago will go further, and there'll basically be that leapfrogging of the runner and the motorhome, or at least that's my understanding. So we're hoping that's going to work, and pretty much like everything else in our adventure over the next 4 days and even over the last 6 months, there's no rule book on this. We're flying by the seat of our pants. We've asked questions of people who have attempted something like this before, have been crazy or brave enough to do something like this before. So we're learning all the time and experimenting and improvising and doing our best, basically. A lot of storage in the Winnebago, as did it again, the motorhome. Everything's really safely secured, so again, if you're moving, you know, things aren't going to come flying open. So everyone's got their own little storage locker. There's storage compartments and containers everywhere. Inside is, as I said, the bathroom before. We probably won't use that for its intended purpose. It'll probably be more for storage than anything. Mainly for hygiene, but also just because we are going to be stopping in places where we can utilise and pretty much make a mess of other people's facilities rather than our own. We'll pretty much sleep in here and occasionally visit caravan parks to shower and toilet. Otherwise it'll be truck stops and McDonald's and places like that. Nice little dining area. Again, more storage, microwave, which we can only use when the vehicle's plugged into mains power, so that won't be too often. We do have gas power available. The fridge will run on gas and some other bits and pieces. There was a cooktop somewhere, I think, that runs on gas as well. We've got loads and loads and loads of drinks and water, which we've been given by Transplant Australia, which is fantastic. I just realised there's a TV. There you go. I hadn't seen that before. So that's kind of cool. The vehicle will be stationary for quite a while, so there's no reason why some people probably can't just chill out and watch a show, watch a flick. So I'll take you outside and just show you the enormity of this thing. Yeah, so between the three vehicles, the motorhome, the bug bus, and the Shadow vehicle, we feel like we've got a really good setup for the next 4 days. We've got 97 hours of running starting tomorrow morning in Federation Square. We're really excited about what we've got ahead of us. The team's come together really well and got ourselves real organised, and we just can't wait for this adventure to start.
Paul was a year older than me at school, in primary school and through high school at Bankstown, De La Salle and Christ the King School. So we both had athletics in our blood and did a fair few events together and combined carnivals and the likes. And we sort of lost contact over the years, but through networks, I knew Suzette at the time, and obviously a couple of Paul's mates down here in Melbourne as well. So I sort of known him since that high, but hadn't seen too much of him in recent years. Yeah, so Shuey rang me and said, "Oh look, I'm doing this run with a team that a mate's put me in through this network that was a tragic incident around a death of a partner, and they're going to do the Melbourne to Sydney run with the team." And he said, "I need a place to stay." I said, "Look, not a problem, mate. I talk weekly." I said, "No dramas at all." And the more time got closer, and he said who it was for, and I didn't even think about it at the time. And he said, "These were the circumstances." And I asked a couple of questions, and I started thinking, because I'd seen on Facebook that Suzette had passed recently, and a lot of I guess online bits and pieces and well wishes were there, and I caught up with the story, and a couple of mates rang and texted me and said that Suzette had passed away at the time, and yada yada. And I queried Shuey after that when the penny dropped. I said, "Shuey, the run isn't for Paul Burke, is it? And Suzette?" He said, "It is." He said, "I'm going to the meeting now. I haven't met the bloke yet, but it's Paul Burke." I said, "Well, I went to bloody school with Paul many years ago, and I had known Suzette prior to that at the same time." And Shuey then said that as they got to know each other only yesterday, he said that Paul and Suzette actually met on my Bucks night when Paul was thereabouts. So, yeah, interesting links.
No doubt you're aware that Suzette was an organ donor. What's your thoughts on the concept of organ donation?
I believe I'm an organ donor on paper, and after going through, I guess, family losses in my immediate family, mother, and close cousins dying in their early 30s, 2 close cousins, one late 20s, early 30s, we've had some pretty tragic losses. So I think the more, once you're not here, if you can give past life onto somebody else, I don't think there's a better thing to do than that.
What's your understanding of the process to formalise organ donation? A lot of people are understanding that if they tick yes on their licence, that's enough. Are you aware of further steps?
No, to be honest, no. Although through Mum's death, I believe questions were asked, but that was of Dad at the time, and I guess we never spoke about it. It was a pretty intense period straight after, but I'm not sure at all.
Yeah, okay. So the message that we're trying to promote is that people need to speak to their family and be organised. A curly one, and the final question. If somebody declines to be an organ donor, do you think they then themselves should be eligible to receive an organ donation should they ever require it?
On the spot, I'd say no, pending circumstances. I don't know. That would be my opinion. I think if they don't want to, that's their choice. I think you've got to let people have choices, but then should they be denied life beyond the day of their choice? It's a tough question, but I'd say on the spot, no.
Warning. Dear guests, we do not wish to alarm you, but due to an increase in motel break-ins after midnight around Melbourne, we strongly advise you to secure... Is there a word missing there? We strongly advise you to secure a safety chain on your door before retiring. The motel management accepts no responsibility for the loss of cash or valuables. Thank you for your cooperation. For your security, place safety chain in lock position before laying down to cross your fingers.